Breaking news from outer space, truth and fiction, same embrace. Lance and Gina lead the way, decoding myths from day to day.
Hey fight fans, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're stepping into the octagon, but we're not just talking about punches and takedowns.
No, we're not.
We're going deep into the future,
That's right.
where science fiction is becoming reality in the world of combat sports. We're talking nano-enhancements, tiny tech that could change everything.
Everything about how athletes train and fight.
Exactly. And the guy at the center of all this, none other than the legendary Jon Jones. Rumors are swirling that his comeback might involve some serious upgrades.
No.
Not just your typical gym routine.
No, not at all.
We're talking nano-implants, the kind of stuff you'd see in a sci-fi movie.
It's like we're witnessing the next stage of human evolution, right in the ring. These nano-enhancements are blurring the lines between human ability and technological augmentation.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources point to some pretty classified research coming out of the Office of Scientific Intelligence.
The OSI.
The OSI. Not exactly the first place you'd think of when it comes to the UFC, right?
It's surprising, but there's a clear connection. The OSI has been developing advanced prosthetics and neural interfaces.
Right.
Initially to help injured soldiers regain mobility and function. But like a lot of military tech, it seems to have found its way into other areas, including sports.
So we're talking about technology that was originally meant to heal, now being used to enhance.
Exactly.
That's fascinating and a little bit unsettling, don't you think?
It definitely raises ethical questions, which we'll dive into later.
Oh.
But first, let's get into the specifics. Our sources detail 4 major nanotechnologies that are being tested on athletes right now.
Okay.
And they're pretty mind-blowing.
Hit me with it. What kind of upgrades are we talking about?
Let's start with neuromuscular response optimization, or NRO. Think of it this way. Every action you take, from throwing a punch to dodging a kick,
Right.
starts with a signal from your brain that travels through your nerves to your muscles. NRO implants are designed to integrate with those nerve pathways,
Okay.
speeding up the signal transmission.
So basically faster reaction times. How much faster are we talking?
We're talking milliseconds, which might not sound like much. But in a fight,
Right.
a millisecond can be the difference between landing a knockout blow and getting knocked out yourself.
Wow.
With NRO fighters could potentially dodge punches before they're even fully extended.
Whoa. That's insane. Imagine a fighter slipping a punch so fast it looks like the opponent missed by a mile. That would change the game completely.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't that make fights pretty one-sided? I mean, if one fighter has that kind of speed advantage, what chance does the other guy have?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of the ethical debate surrounding these enhancements.
Right, because it's not just about speed, is it?
No, it's not.
Our sources mention something called myoskeletal reinforcement, or MSR,
Yes.
which sounds like it's straight out of a superhero comic. What's that all about?
MSR is all about durability. It works by reinforcing the skeletal structure, the bones and tendons, with a bio-integrated polymer lattice. Imagine a microscopic web of super strong material woven throughout your bones and the tissues that connect your muscles to your bones.
So these fighters are basically becoming walking tanks.
In a way, yes. MSR could allow fighters to absorb impacts that would normally cause fractures or serious concussions. We're talking about withstanding blows that would shatter bones in a non-enhanced fighter.
Okay, now that's just scary. If a fighter can take a punch, like it's nothing, wouldn't that lead to longer, more brutal fights?
Yeah.
Where's the limit?
That's a valid concern. It brings up questions about the long-term health effects of these enhancements. We know that repeated head trauma can lead to serious neurological problems.
So even though these fighters might be able to withstand more punishment in the short term,
Right.
there could be hidden consequences down the road. That's a whole other layer to this.
Absolutely. And these are just 2 of the 4 nanotechnologies that are being developed. We haven't even touched on the enhancements that could potentially give fighters near superhuman vision and endurance.
Hold on, you're telling me this gets even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about these vision and endurance upgrades. What are we dealing with here?
You want to sit tight for this one. The third enhancement we're diving into is called optoneural synchronization, or ONS.
ONS.
Now picture this. You're in the octagon, and every move your opponent makes, every twitch of their muscles, every shift in their stance is being processed by your brain at lightning speed.
Okay, I'm following you so far. So ONS is all about enhancing visual processing.
Precisely. It involves implanting a microchip that syncs with the optic nerve.
Okay.
boosting the speed at which the brain receives and analyzes visual information.
So it's like having supervision.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's wild. How would that actually play out in a fight?
Imagine a fighter reacting to a punch before it's even thrown. ONS could give fighters near precognitive abilities, allowing them to counter their opponent's moves before they're even fully executed.
Hold on. Are we talking about predicting the future here?
It seems that way.
That seems almost impossible. Wouldn't that take all the strategy and skill out of fighting?
It's definitely a game changer. And you're right. It raises a lot of questions about the nature of skill and fair play in a world where technology can enhance human capabilities to such a degree.
It makes you wonder, are we watching athletes compete, or are we watching technology battle it out?
Interesting question.
And what about the fourth enhancement? You mentioned endurance, right?
Yes.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but tell me more.
This one is called enhanced oxygen and lactate regulation, or EOLR. You know, that burning sensation you get in your muscles when you push yourself too hard? That's lactic acid buildup. It's a natural byproduct of intense exertion, but it limits your performance.
Yeah, I definitely know that feeling. So how does EOLR come into play?
Well,
Does it get rid of lactic acid completely?
it's not about eliminating it entirely, but about managing it more effectively. EOLR uses nanocapsules to regulate oxygen flow at a cellular level, improving oxygen efficiency and delaying the onset of lactic acid buildup.
So basically we're talking about fighters who can go harder longer without getting tired.
Exactly.
How much of a difference are we talking about here?
Imagine a fighter who can maintain peak performance for an entire fight,
Wow.
never slowing down, never showing signs of fatigue. Studies have shown that EOLR can boost peak anaerobic performance by up to 400%.
400%. That's insane. That's like having a second wind that never runs out. How do you even train for that? How do you prepare to fight someone who can basically go at full speed the whole time?
That's a great question. And it speaks to the potential impact of these technologies on training methods and fighting styles. We might see a shift towards strategies that focus on outlasting opponents, relying on endurance rather than explosive power.
This is seriously blowing my mind. We've got speed enhancements, durability boosters, supervision, and now endurance. That's off the charts. It's like we're talking about creating super soldiers, not just athletes.
It's certainly pushing the boundaries of human potential, and it's all happening under a veil of secrecy.
Right.
Remember, this research is still highly classified. We only know about it because of these leaked documents.
Speaking of secrets, let's get back to Jon Jones. What do we actually know about his potential upgrades? The sources seem a little vague on the specifics.
It's unclear which, if any, of these enhancements he's actually received. Some sources suggest he's gone all in, embracing the full suite of upgrades. Others hint that he's only opted for specific enhancements, perhaps targeting areas where he feels he needs an edge.
So it's like a real-life cyborg mystery. Is Jon Jones enhanced or not? And if he is, how will it affect his performance?
It's a question on everyone's mind.
Right. It's a question that's got everyone in the MMA world buzzing. But even more than that, it's forcing us to confront a fundamental question.
Yeah.
At what point does enhancement cross the line from fair play to an unfair advantage?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's a tough one. I mean, athletes are always looking for ways to improve, whether it's through training diet or even technology. Where do we draw the line? And how do we even begin to regulate something like this?
Yeah, it's the challenge the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
The NSAC.
Yeah. The NSAC is facing right now. They're responsible for ensuring fair play and athlete safety in combat sports. But these nano enhancements are so new, so advanced, that they're basically undetectable with current testing methods.
So we've got potentially enhanced fighters stepping into the octagon, and the authorities are struggling to figure out how to even address the issue.
It's a very complex situation.
It's a recipe for chaos.
Definitely a complex situation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Jon Jones. If these enhancements become more widespread, we could see a complete transformation of combat sports as we know it.
You're talking about a future where every fighter is enhanced. Wouldn't that level the playing field in a way? Or would it just create a whole new set of advantages and disadvantages?
That's hard to say. It's possible that we could see a split in the sport with separate leagues for enhanced and non-enhanced fighters. Or perhaps we'll see the emergence of weight classes based on levels of enhancement.
That's wild to think about. Imagine a lightweight fighter with EOLR going up against a heavyweight with MSR. What would that even look like?
It would be a spectacle, that's for sure. But beyond the spectacle, there are deeper implications to consider.
Like what?
What happens to the fighters who choose not to enhance?
Right.
Do they become obsolete?
That's a great point. It's almost like we're talking about creating a new species of athlete. the transhuman fighter. And that raises all sorts of ethical and philosophical questions about what it means to be human in a world where technology can push us beyond our natural limits.
It's a conversation that's only just beginning.
Right.
And it's one that will have far-reaching implications, not just for sports, but for society as a whole.
So we've got this potential arms race happening in the UFC, and it's making us question the very nature of human competition. And all this is happening while one of the biggest voices in the MMA world remains silent.
You're talking about Joe Rogan, right?
Exactly. He's usually right there in the thick of it, weighing in on every controversy, every new development in the sport. But when it comes to nano-enhancements, he's been strangely quiet.
It is unusual for him, considering his passion for both MMA and the exploration of cutting-edge science and technology.
I'm dying to know what he thinks. Does he see this as the next logical step in the evolution of combat sports? Or does he think it's a dangerous path that undermines the integrity of the sport?
It's a million-dollar question, and his opinion carries a lot of weight in the MMA community.
We can only speculate for now, but I have a feeling Joe Rogan's silence won't last forever.
I don't think so either.
When he finally breaks it, I'm sure it will be a bombshell.
We'll be waiting with bated breath. But for now, let's shift our focus to the fans. How are they reacting to all of this? Are they embracing the idea of nano-enhanced fighters, or are they pushing back?
That's a great question, because ultimately the future of this sport depends on the fans, right?
It does.
If they reject this new era of enhanced athletes, it could all come crashing down.
It's a crucial element to consider. After all, combat sports are as much about entertainment as they are about athletic competition.
You know, it's fascinating to think about how the fans will react.
Oh.
Will they be drawn to the spectacle of these enhanced athletes pushing the limits of human performance? Or will they feel like the sport has lost its soul, its connection to the raw grit and determination that we've come to expect from fighters?
It's a tough call. There's a certain purity to a sport where victory is determined by skill, strategy, and willpower. But technology has always played a role in sports.
Right.
From the development of new training techniques to the materials used in equipment. So where do we draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one that goes beyond just the fans. Think about the fighters themselves. How will they adapt to this new landscape?
How will they adapt?
Will there be a sense of pressure to enhance just to stay competitive?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Imagine being a fighter who's dedicated their life to honing their skills, pushing their body to the limit, and then suddenly they're facing opponents who are essentially superhuman.
Yeah.
You could create a whole new level of pressure and risk.
And what about the ethical implications? If these enhancements become widespread, are we essentially creating a two-tiered system where only those with access to this technology can compete at the highest level?
It's a slippery slope, that's for sure. We've seen this play out in other areas where advancements in technology have created a divide between those who can afford to access them and those who can't.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era in human evolution where technology becomes the defining factor in our abilities.
It really is.
And that raises some pretty profound questions about what it means to be human.
Absolutely. It challenges our understanding of natural limits, of what our bodies are capable of achieving. And it forces us to grapple with the ethical implications of using technology to fundamentally alter ourselves.
So we've got this incredibly exciting, potentially revolutionary technology that's also incredibly complex and ethically challenging. It's like opening Pandora's box.
It is.
Once we unleash this power, can we ever put it back in?
It's a question we need to be asking ourselves right now before this technology becomes so widespread that it's too late to turn back. We need to have a serious conversation as a society about the limits of human enhancement, about where we draw the line between pushing boundaries and fundamentally altering who we are.
And that conversation needs to happen now while we're still in the early stages of this technology, because once it becomes mainstream, it's going to be much harder to control.
It's like we're at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
One path leads us towards a future where technology enhances our abilities, pushes us beyond our perceived limitations. The other path leads us towards a future where technology defines our abilities, where the human element is diminished, perhaps even lost.
So what does this all mean for the future of combat sports and for the future of humanity? It's a pretty heavy question to end on, but I think it's one that we all need to ponder.
It's a question that will continue to be debated and explored as this technology evolves. But one thing is certain. The world of combat sports, and perhaps the world as we know it, is on the cusp of dramatic transformation.
Well, this deep dive has certainly given us a lot to think about. It's a topic that will continue to unfold, and we'll be here to keep you informed every step of the way.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of knowledge always, with a mindful eye on the implications.
And remember, the future is in our hands. We have the power to choose the path we take, the world we create. Choose wisely. That's it for this deep dive, folks. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.
Breaking news from outer space, truth and fiction, same embrace. Lance and Gina lead the way, decoding myths from day to day. Skynet News, bold and bright. It's a cutting edge, but not quite right. Dark science meets conspiracy, like bridging gaps with mystery. Aliens lurking, planets align. False truths wrapped in cosmic signs. Astrophysics, UFOs, we decode what no one knows. Dark Skynet News, bold and bright. Keep a cutting edge, but not quite right. Dark science meets conspiracy, like bridging gaps with mystery. AG from the cosmos to your screen. Every theory so unseen. Judge facts distorted, blurred yet grand. Stay inspired, take our hand. Skynet News, your cosmic guide. False information